Hello everybody, my name is not Markiplier, it's Curve, and welcome to the Yakuza 0 all bosses, no damage, on hard difficulty. Not doing legend like Yakuza 6, because Yakuza 6 is like the only game in the franchise prior to, I think, Lost Judgment, where you can retry on legend difficulty, and I don't want to deal with retrying, especially since someone like Kuze-1, you have to do an entire long battle before you fight him. Anyways, you might notice that Kuze has a lot more health than he normally would, and that's because I boosted the boss health for this video. They die a little too quickly, but how much I switched it around depends on the boss. Some of them I did like 2 times. These ones in the beginning I did like 5 times. But it really just depends. But unfortunately, that didn't end up making some of the bosses go for a little bit too long, which is why this video is 2.5 hours long. So, here we have Kuze-1. He's probably the best first boss in the series. This attempt is a little all over the place because it's been a very long time since I played played Zero in vanilla. I'm kind of just throwing stuff against the wall and seeing what sticks, and it's not pretty, but it's there, it's something. So a lot of people actually skip this QTE because you don't actually take damage if you fail it, because it kind of just dodges out of the way. I do it just because I like not failing QTEs. I think that's a pretty reasonable thing to do. So, no, I say that Kuze is probably the best first boss in the series, because, like, I mean, not only is he, like, a recurring boss throughout this game, so you just kind of get to see how he evolves from the beginning here all the way to the end, his last fight in the final chapter, but he's, like, an actual good boss moveset. Like, you don't have someone like punk-ass Abe in Yakuza 1, who's just a goon with a slightly larger health bar. I mean, granted, there's not really much competition. I mean, like, Nagabo 1 in Yakuza 6 is okay. Majima in Yakuza 3 is pretty decent. Ihara in Yakuza 4, I mean, it lets you do, like, cool combos with him, but he's not exactly, like, a good boss, if you know what I mean. Like, Kuze is just a step above the rest of them. Like, they really cooked with the opening to Zero as a whole, with this whole long battle leaving the clan thing into the fight with Kuze. Yeah, and finish it off with a bear hug. Alright, so here we have the modded version, and the mods that I will be using this time is Legend Remix 0 by AAA. I don't know if you're supposed to say all 3 A's. Is it AAA or is it just AAA? I don't know. I'm using Faster Style Switching, also by AAA or AAA. More Enemy HP by Mia Taylor Music, and the Troll Face mod by Adidas Code. So I have a lot more experience with Legend Remix because, you know, after I played Vanilla Zero for the first time, I downloaded it, and this is basically how I played it all afterwards. Kuze does have slightly less health here, though, because the mod Legend Remix kind of messes with the health bars, and combined with the boosted health mod, it kind of makes it weird. So there will be minor fluctuations in health between the regular versions and the modded versions, but it's not going to be huge. So Kuze-1 actually has a pretty bad arena for a Legend Remix, because it's just a box. There's no pseudo corners or anything to do all the really cool stuff in. You can do a pretty good amount of wall bounding, which Legend Remix increases the limit for, so you do have that option, and you can see that it's not infinite. But even if it was, realistically, you couldn't have an infinite combo. You can only really do that with pseudo corners. And the thing that sucks is you don't really get a pseudo corner until Kuze 2, I'd say. I think that sync was pretty awesome. Yes, I did decide to use the game theory themed Science Blaster. I don't know why that interaction happens there, where after doing like the wall stun and hitting Kuze, like hitting him down with the light attack in Rush, it'll like knock him down and do the wall bound animation, but hitting him with like the charge attack makes him stand up. I don't know why it does that. But yes, I am using Science Blaster, the game theory theme here. Just out on a whim, decided to pick it for no reason at all. I just thought that it'd be kind of funny to put here. You know, it'd be kind of a shock seeing the troll face mod and having the game theory theme blaring. So I thought it would do pretty good for the video. So as you're about to see, the Legend Remix adds your Kiwami finishers from Kiwami, and I think it's pretty cool. And I tried to finish him with the Beast Kiwami finisher here, but for some reason it does piss all damage, and it doesn't even kill, so I just gotta Tiger Drop him. Alright, I find it pretty crazy how in Yakuza 0, Kiryu's only bosses other than Kuze are Oda and Shibusawa. Like, you got other, like, mini-boss-ish guys. They don't really count. Like, 1 or 2 of them are in this video, but they're not real bosses. His only real bosses are Kuze 1 through 5, Oda, and Shibusawa, which is pretty crazy to me. And upon replaying this game, I've come to find that Yakuza 0's boss selection is a little underwhelming. Like, there are a few really good ones, but the rest are kind of just mediocre. Like, Kuze, all the Kuze fights are really awesome. Oda's kind of just okay. I mean, he's not special in any way, but he's not offensive. He's kind of just alright. I really don't have much to say about him. That is before he goes into heat mode. Once he goes into heat mode, he's just completely atrocious. Because, like, I don't know why, he's got a really neat moveset and all. And it's pretty fun to fight, but when he does go into heat mode, he gains this weird pseudo super armor. And you can't really do anything against him. Like, right here, I don't know how I'm able to get this little combo. But as you can see, now he's just armoring through it. And what I mean by, like, pseudo super armor is that, like, if you hit him from his back, he will get stunned by the first hit, but any subsequent hits just won't work. Like, so I kind of just have to rush spam him here, because it's really the only thing I can do. I can't combo him or do anything remotely cool. So, yeah, Oda has a really sucky fight, and he's weird because, like, the game wants you to feel bad for him, but he's a human trafficker. So, I don't think there's much redeeming that kind of person. So, I don't know. This game's got some weird stuff in it, but I still really like it. This is still, like, one of the best entries in the franchise. So, I'm just gonna let the rest of this play out, because he's almost done. So, see you in the modded version.
Choosing super coach. It always gets the bad guy.
So like I said in the modded version of the Kuze 1 fight, you really don't get a good pseudo corner until Kuze 2. Like, you have one here by the couches, but it's very inconsistent. And, okay, so I'm also going to explain what I mean by pseudo corners. Pseudo corners is not a term that exists. It's kind of just a term that I made up to describe what the hell I'm talking about. And it's basically where whenever you have a corner that doesn't act like an actual corner. Like, it is where two walls intersect, but they don't have wall properties. So whenever you're knocking a character against it, they kind of just fly and don't hit the wall. Like, they're just pressed up against nothing. And as I said, you kind of have one here against these couches, but it's very inconsistent. So what I'm going to try and do here is get some wall bounding, which is going to work a lot better for me. And you can probably see that Legend Remix does give you your Komaki moves back from the other Yakuza games, specifically your Kiwami versions of them, which is really nice because you can do like a parry, which is good. Not to say that like twist counter is bad. Twist counter is actually pretty good. I use it in some of the later fights, but parry is just too good. And thankfully it's actually a lot better than the version in Kiwami, because the version in Kiwami doesn't actually apply the stun property. It kind of just puts them in an animation where they like get a stomach ache for half a second and then they're back into the fight. Having your Komaki moves plus other changes really makes your Legend style just completely broken in this mod. Like, it was already pretty good in vanilla, but now it's just absurdly good in Legend Remix. And I still can't really do much against Oda here. Like, I try to get some wall bounding, doesn't really work, which is why I've mostly just been tiger dropping him, and here I'm gonna go for the stun Heen action finisher. Alright, so here we have Majima. I suck ass with Majima. I had to actually kinda sorta learn how to play him for this video, and it was a lot. And I just feel like, especially in vanilla, he has a lot of limitations that Kiryu just doesn't have to deal with. It's a lot more noticeable in later fights, but I feel like Lee is a very good fight for Majima. It's really not too much of a problem here, but later fights, it's definitely noticeable. So here, Lee 1's arena is basically all walls, so I just gotta do some wall bounding. That's what I gotta do for the entire fight, basically. And you've probably seen it, but that little command grab that Majima has in Thug style, it basically makes this fight possible. Like, this one and a lot of the other ones. Because it sets him up for so much, like wall bounding especially, as you can see. And it's like one of his only openers against some bosses. I know it was playing in the Oda fight, but can we just take a second to talk about this song? Misery Comes on Beat sucks, and it's probably the worst basic boss theme in the series. I hate it. I hate this theme so much. And I hated having to listen to it like 15 times in the making of this video. Like, it's so boring and generic, and it's not fun to listen to. Like, Six's is also pretty bad, but this one is my least favorite. So you can really see the problems here with boosting up the boss health so much. I think Lee 1 is the last boss that I actually did 5 times health for, simply because it dragged this fight out so much. Like, we just got past the QTE, and we're just now getting into heat mode, and he still has 2 health bars left. So, and you'll also see that for the modded version, it is lesser. I think I only had it 2 times for the modded version, and here I had 5, which is a big mistake. I did this like I did for 6, where I did all of the vanilla no damages first, and then I went back and redid all of the modded no damages. I think that was a really bad thing that I did with Kiwami 2, where I did the same fight, vanilla and modded, one after another, and then moved on to the next fight, vanilla and modded. Because I feel like I could get a lot better, I could get comfortable with vanilla as I went along, and then as I went along with the modded versions, I could do those. Even if, you know, like, it's Majima and Kiryu, they're gonna play differently. They're not gonna be the same, so I did have to get used to 2 different characters, each with 4 different movesets. But as long as it worked out in the end. I did get better with Majima. I still don't think that I'm the greatest with Majima, but I did learn how to do some stuff. Lee is Wario, so I'm using the Ga Metal cover of the boss theme from my, Wario Master of Disguise. So I was looking for a skin to use for Majima, and I had to go to like the 12th page of Nexus mods to find this one. This is the Mario Skin Pack by Lewis18. I'm also using the buyable Quick Change Clothes mod made by Aiden4556, the Exactions mod by Mingun Kiss, which is the moveset mod that you're seeing. It's a moveset mod, but it's also like a complete gameplay changer, as you can see. This is basically Lost Judgment at home. And I'm also using the Diamond Sword mod, which replaces the Bat and Slugger style by I Hate Login Screens. And as always, the mods will be in the description. This is my first time using Exactions, so my gameplay is pretty sloppy here. It gets better as like the video goes on and I get more experience with it, but it's a little shaky here because I'm still learning, you know, how the fuck to do everything. And as you can see, I switched from doing 5 times health to 2 times because that was just way too much in the last one. It'd be a little better here because your damage in Exactions is pretty crazy compared to vanilla, but I still don't want this video to go on for too long, even though it's already 2.5 hours. And when I said that this whole room was all walls, that was a little bit of a lie, because you can see here that this back wall here doesn't actually have wall properties, which allows me to do juggles, but otherwise they're kind of hard in the rest of the room. But yeah, I said Lost Judgment at home because not only do you have Lost Judgment styles, but you also have Lost Judgment juggling. It's actually a little better than Lost Judgment juggling because juggles are infinite if you know what you're doing, which makes it a little bit broken, but we'll live. This might be the first time that I speed up a fight in this little series of videos, because this is, it's just awful. But yeah, we're back to Kiryu. Majima definitely gets more of the spotlight later, but for right now, we're Kiryu. We're Kiryu all the way. Yeah, this fight sucks. This fight took way too long, partially my fault because of the boosted health, but otherwise, it's just a terrible fight. Because once it becomes just Okabe, the fight slows down a ton after, like, beating all the goons. Like, the goons are not too bad to beat. Once it's just Okabe, he has, like, that same pseudo super armor that Oda has. And, like, it's so much worse, though. Because, like, with Oda, it was, like, not super consistent. Like, sometimes you could get a small combo on him. With Okabe, it's 100% consistent. You can only get one hit before he super armors through it. Ugh. Now, I said I'm going to speed up the fight after I beat all the goons. I'm probably not going to do that for the no commentary version, but for this commentary version, just to speed things up a little bit, and for, like, viewing experience, I will speed it up once we get to just Okabe. But before that, I want to do a little bit of a rant on the Legend-style counters in Vanilla Zero. I talked about Twist Counter a little bit ago. Twist Counter is, like, the best one, because it builds up a crap ton of heat. But, like, your other Legend-style counters, like, your Kamaki knockback replacement, sucks because it's like 3 times slower. It looks pretty cool, but like, why would you ever use it? I guess like I don't even remember if it knocks enemies down. And then you have the Tiger Dart replacement, like the Iron Fist counter, I think it's called. And oh my god, it's awful. It doesn't hit 90% of the time, and it uses up all of your heat. Who made this? That's not good game design. So what if Okabe was a little less awful because the goons had less health, and I could also combo him? So that's what this is. These goons don't go down super quick, but unfortunately the only viable pseudo corner is way back there in that alley over there, and it's really inconsistent. But now that we have a little bit of time, I will say that of the 3 games that I've no damaged so far, I think I had the least fun with this one, which is surprising considering how much I loved it when not no damaging it. I was really expecting to like this one, but I kinda didn't, and I was expecting not to like 6 when that one was like really fun. I had a lot of fun with 6 when I don't like that game normally. So as you can see, like, this corner's really not fun to try and get him into. I do hear, but it does drop a couple times. Like, especially considering that this fight still takes a really fucking long time. Even with the mod, and even with just destroying him here in the Sinnoh corner. So, I chose different mods for Kiryu and Majima because I feel like each one suits them better. Majima's movesets don't mesh very well with Legend Remix, so it feels like, at best, a side grade. Kiryu is actually okay in exactions, but the mod definitely has a lot more love for Majima. Because, you know, Majima gets all the cool Lost Judgment movesets, while still having his regular movesets. I mean, like, Kiryu, he gets, like, extra moves for Brawler and Tank style, because like it takes them from Bruiser and Tank style from the Kaito files. But like he also gets Boxer style from Yagami in Lost Judgment, and he also gets the Dragon Engine Kiryu style, but only in extreme heat for some reason. You can't use them normally. And the thing about extreme heat and exactions is that it's like really hard to use in a combo, because like it doesn't carry over when you switch styles, and that it takes too long to like incorporate it in a combo, so you can't really use it, which sucks because, well, now you're locked out of 2 extra movesets with Q, and I don't know, it just sucks. And like, as I said, Legend Remake 0 is kind of just a side grade for Majima, because like he gets some extra stuff, which is nice, but he can't really do all the crazy combos that Kiryu can, and he doesn't really have any bosses that are really suited for it either, which is the thing. So he doesn't get too much love when it comes to Legend Remix. Music for this video, music choices for this video are basically the same struggle as the past couple times. Some came to me instantly, and some of them I really had to look for. For this one, Okabe, Can You Feel the Sunshine came to me pretty much immediately, and I think it works pretty damn well. I don't know, just fits the vibe. So kind of a running theme in this video is that I like really fuck up some of these finishers. I mean, you already saw it with like modded Kuze 1 where my Kiwami finisher didn't kill, so I kind of just had to tiger drop him. That happens a lot in this video. And I kind of messed it up here in a different way, as you're going to see here in just a second. Because I didn't realize that, for one, that finisher kind of just drops combos completely. And then I try to go for the stun heat action here, but for some reason it doesn't work from behind, so I just gotta go and do a grounded heat action, and it looks way less cool.
極道の世界に KO はねえ。俺なギリ指の1本や2本なくそうが阿波野や渋沢に頭取られようがそんなことは構えしねえんだ。命ある限り何度でも這い上がってやる。だからよ、てめえみたいな半端もんが一番許せねえんだよ。死ねやボケが。
That intro never gets old, and I sincerely hope it doesn't, because you're going to be seeing it again for the modded version. So, for some reason, Kuze 2 has less health than Okabe, and he doesn't even have any goons either. So, look, I don't know what they were thinking. That Okabe fight is just a travesty. He does have more health than the modded version, though, so... here in the beginning, I am fishing super hard for a parry, and I'm kind of just baiting out that specific attack right there, that 3-hit combo. And now that I got one, I kind of just go off on him. So Kuze 2 is weird because... Oh, and I dropped that one, so I gotta go for another one. But Kuze 2 is weird because he doesn't really have any walls for you to do wall-bound combos off of. So your best bet is going to be back combos, as you see here. But also, back combos in Vanilla Zero are pretty weird because you can only do certain moves. Like, you're basically just doing light attacks, and you can't really do any finishers with the exception of ones like that cause the enemy to have a parryable hitbox that you can parry with Rush. And most of the time after you hit a parry off of that, they'll still decide to not turn around, because for some reason, back combos are basically RNG whether or not the enemy will turn around once you hit them from the back. That sounds very weird out of context. You know what I mean by hitting enemies from the back. So, most of the time after you hit a parryable hitbox, they won't turn around. Every now and then, though, they will. And it's fucked up. Like 95% of the time they'll be good after that, but if you're just doing one normally, like 20% of the time they'll decide not to turn around. It's really RNG, so you really gotta fish for a good parry where they decide to give you good RNG and just don't turn around. Like, right there, he decided to turn around after a parry. I can't tell you why, it's just RNG. So now I just gotta go back to fishing for that 3-hit combo to get the parry off of. It's not super interesting. As you can see, I just traveled 100 kilometers on foot. Most of it was by dodging. But this one isn't super interesting. As I said, can't really do wall-bound combos because there are no walls. but the modded version is a lot better because, as I said, Kuze 2 has the first real pseudo corner that you can do really cool shit in, and I think that's really what Legend Remix is all about. So I do get one last back combo here. Thing is, though, for some reason I don't input that third attack in time, and I completely fuck up my finisher again, but I am still able to get the heat action that I'm going for.
極道の世界に KO はねえ。
I completely forgot that I'm supposed to talk here because the song is copyrighted, so I'm going to take this short time to completely interrupt this dynamic intro that I had fully set with the cool music and everything to tell you to like and subscribe and comment and do whatever the other YouTubers tell you to do. This is also where I'd put up analytics and shit if I wanted you to hate me. But yeah, go do all that and enjoy the no damages for the next 2 hours. I still have like 10 seconds to talk over, so if you got here, comment doing crack in the Applebee's bathroom. Have fun. So this was another song that kind of just came to me immediately, because ever since I first heard it, I'm like, why does this song sound so much like Pledge of Demon? So it's obvious that I was going to put it on one of the Kuze fights. So, as I said, this is where Legend Remix really gets to shine, because Kuze has that really good pseudo corner. And I'm trying to get into it right now. Normally it doesn't take this long, but oh well, shit happens. And I do have to talk constantly for this one because, you know, this is a copyrighted song and I can't talk for too long. So, yeah. There will be no commentary version uploaded alongside this if you do want to see this fight without all of my yapping. So, a Legend Remix does make a lot of cool changes, which makes all of this crazy stuff that you're about to see possible. First of all, it adds back the knockdown effects from Yakuza 3 and 4, which allows this to happen, because you can do this in Yakuza 3 and 4 if you didn't know that. It's best seen with Akiyama in 4, but you can do it with Tanimura and Kiryu in 3 and 4. Not really Saejima, though. It also speeds up a lot of your attacks, which is most notable with your Brawler Triangle combo and your Beast regular combo. It also expands the Legend style, like I said earlier, to be more like Kiwami, which makes it really broken. But it's really fun, so I don't really care. And for some reason, yeah, doing that Brawler Grab allows you to get the enemy into the the knockdown state again. And I do end up getting the heat action off that just for a little finisher. But we're just going to get him right back in there. Or at least I'm trying to get him right back in there. It doesn't exactly work. But Legend Remix also does other things too, like making your stun attacks, your square-to-square triangle in Brawler and Legend style, re-stun enemies when they're in a knockdown state, like in Yakuza 3. And one other change that I like that Legend Remix has is that you can do your Beast guard attacks on command. You can tell that they really weren't meant to. And of course, what I mean by Beast guard attacks is when you're holding guard in Beast and you get hit by an enemy and you press square to do that little flail around you, or you press triangle to do that like jumping hammer fist, which is really strong. But yeah, you can tell they weren't meant to be done on command because they are really fucking strong. Like the square one instantly knocks down enemies and can completely clear crowds. And as I said, the triangle one does crazy damage and can lead to a stun with the back quick step in Legend style. Of course, that back quick step wasn't in the vanilla version, but it is in the modded version. All of this stuff is really fun to mess around with, which is why it's a shame that it only works in specific corners like this, and on not all of the bosses. There's some bosses where you just can't. Yakuza 4 had a ton of corners like this, which is part of why Akiyama was so fun in that game. I mentioned earlier that he can do a lot of this crazy stuff too. They did get rid of most of them in Zero. That doesn't mean much in Vanilla, but in Legend Remix it does hurt a lot. You can see the other side of this pipe here does also kind of work as a pseudo corner, but it's a lot more inconsistent than the right side. So I'm just trying to get Kuze down here, and I do get kind of a basic finisher. I think I do the Rush Kiwami finisher? I'm not sure on that one though. I don't remember. But we're going to see here in just a second. So I'm going to pick Kuze up, and then I'm going to... Okay, that's not going to work because it's going to break out. Yeah, okay, so I think I do that, and then parry, and then do the Rush Kiwami finisher. It kind of sucked how I wasn't really able to sync that up there, but oh well. I kind of beat Lee's ass here. For some reason, your Thug Triangle Charge attack just ducks under most of Lee's attacks, which makes it really useful against him. That move kind of sucks in general, but for some reason it's really good on him, because his attacks are just like that. You're gonna see that heat action there was not intentional, because he kind of just did like a Kamaki knockback, which for some reason applies the guard break effect, and you have a guard break heat action in Breaker, so it kind of just works. I'm going for a lot of freeze counters in these early fights, because they're cool. I didn't know that freeze counters existed until like a year after I played this game, which is weird. I think I like saw it in a no damage video or something, and I'm like, what the fuck, you can do that? So I actually am able to get a back combo here on Lee. You won't see it till after this QTE, but I am able to get one, and back combos are a lot better on bosses with knockdown immunity, which Lee does have in his second phase, because you can actually do finishers in them. Majima doesn't really have to deal with Kiryu's thing where you can't like actually do, where you don't have an arena with walls, so you can't do wall bounds, but you also have a boss that doesn't have knockdown immunity, so you can't really do anything other than back combos. Of course, this is only a vanilla thing, because exactions you just juggle bosses and win. Normally you can't do that second breaker finisher, but I am able to get it in such a way that it continues the combo. It's very cool. Majima back combos are a little bit more involved than Kiryu back combos. You only really get to see the full extent of Kiryu back combos on one boss later, because all the other ones, when they have knockdown immunity, they have like really weird knockdown immunity where they have like that kind of pseudo super armor that Okabe has. I don't know. But I am able to get a few cool back combos in this fight, which you don't really get to see much of, which sucks. Unfortunately, the Mad Dog style is a little hard to use in back combos because it'll usually drop, but you can do it sometimes. I'm just gonna let the rest of the boss play out here, though. Alright, so Lee 2 isn't that much better than Lee 1 when it comes to the insane amount of walls in the arena, which interrupts juggles. There are spots where you can do them in, like the one where I was doing that back combo over there. Kind of lets you do it, but there is a wall on the right side over there, and it's really hard to keep them in there. I'm still learning how to play the mod by this point, but you see I am doing a little better here. It's really not till I think after Dead Puncher when I really start to get it, and there's a reason that it's after Dead Puncher. We'll get that. We'll get there when we get there. But at least I have a lot of prior experience with Legend Remix, so I don't really have to learn how to do that mod, but I am learning this one. For some reason, the QTE in the modded version of the fight does a fuck ton of damage. I don't know why. It does way too much. It does like a whole ass health bar. I don't know if that has to do with the modded health. I really couldn't tell you. I don't think it should, but you'll see here. I don't know why. It just does a ton. Like, Exactions does mod a lot of the QTEs themselves, but most of them don't do that much damage. And you'll notice that Lee isn't in his Wario outfit. This is for plot reasons, and definitely not because the mod creator neglected to put the model over this model of Lee. Definitely not. That's not how things work here in Yakuza Land. And you'll see in a little bit, I do try going for some reverse finishers in a juggle. Because you can do that in Lost Judgment, but for some reason, you can't do that here in this mod. The only reason it really works in Lost Judgment is because for some reason your like reverse light attacks, where you do like a little backhand, sorry. They have just huge hitboxes for some reason, like throughout the entire animation. But for some reason that's just not the case here. Must have changed the hitboxes when porting them over into Yakuza 0. Like there. Because that one, you can usually, like, clip the enemy with the tip of the foot in the first finisher. It just doesn't work here in this mod, though. I try it a couple more times in later fights. Nah, it just doesn't. So, I'm really just kind of freestyling here at the end. Trying not to have Lee kill me. But, you know, once bosses get knockdown immunity, it is pretty hard to get them into a juggle. Your only options, really, are to do the thug counter or to do the snake parry. Snake parry is usually a much safer bet because you don't have to, like, time a button press. But it does have to be against a wall, so if you don't have a good wall, then you're forced to rely on the thug counter. I don't like Nishitani 1, so I kind of just cheese it here. I crank my attack up and just go off. I'm sorry, I promise that the modded version's a lot better. Nishitani 2 is also a lot better because the walls allow for a lot of cool wall bounding stuff. I do find it weird how the vanilla version of these no damages, walls are a lot better because you can do cool wall bounding. But in the modded version, they suck because they interrupt your juggles. But as you can see here, I kind of just kill them. But yeah, like there, like, I think that is a lot more damage than the QTE normally does, and it's probably because of the boosted health. I think it just scales really weirdly with, like, exactions, which is why the Bleak QTE did a lot more. But once again, I don't know. So do we get a little bit of a back combo here to finish it? I say finish it, but I do actually enter the menu to go and decrease my health, I think. I really like this heat action. I hate that it's super hard to activate, especially in no damage. So I get a fucking crazy juggle combo here in the beginning. I'm just gonna let it play. Yeah, so, this is the God Metal cover of It's Pizza Time from Pizza Tower, by the way. I do like a lot of God Metal stuff. You should go check out God Metal. He's very awesome and cool and makes good music. I don't really have a lot of commentary to give on this one because this is just a really solid no damage overall. So, got some time. I guess I'll talk about the state of my channel. So, right now, we're almost at 7,500 subs, which is an absolutely insane number to me. I hit 500 just over 200, or just over not 200, over 2 years ago now, and I never thought I'd even hit 1,000, let alone 7.5. I know a lot of that growth is due to my MGR Win the Sword video, which is at like 500,000 views now, which is crazy. If any of my videos were to blow up like that, I'm glad it was that one. I was super burnt out at the beginning of 2023, because I was too focused on getting stuff out quick rather than spending time on stuff I actually liked. So I ended up taking like a 6-month break to let myself rest, and the Wooden Sword vid was my big comeback video that I really put my all into, and I'm still very proud of it. I'm so happy that that work paid off. The hardest part of doing YouTube is starting out and getting your name out there, and I got lucky that a few of my shitposts completely blew up and got me a ton of subs. I like making actual good content now, so I'm glad that a video I put effort into is my most viewed, but it wouldn't have been possible without those. I got a lot of stuff in the works right now. I should have something that, There's a Light That Never Goes Out should post out. I don't know, that one kind of just came to me one day, and I felt like needing to make it. But I also have a huge, big project coming out later this year, so stay tuned for that. Yakuza 3 is a huge pain in the ass because of the crowd. He'll usually start with that little double hit attack there, which is pretty easily avoided. And of course I do that beast grab heat action to start, and I get all my heat back with a rush, and then I grab the motorcycle and pray that I don't get hit. Alright, and if you're lucky to actually hit all the enemies, you know, maybe not necessarily with the bike itself, but like I got a heat action here to get that guy. There's still a couple left, but they're going to be pretty easy to pick off. But once you actually do get all of the basic enemies, it's a lot like Yakuza 2. Except Kuze's barehanded attacks like that are a whole lot easier to parry than his pipe attacks are. Because you're a lot less likely to get clipped, and they got big tells. There's still like the issue where bosses sometimes decide to turn around after parries, which I think happens once or twice in this fight. That time right there, I just fucked up because I don't know why I decided to use that beast finisher, which doesn't work. I don't know. But I think this was like the one fight where I did not increase health. I think I did for this one, but like the modded version, I didn't because I got so frustrated with it. And there, like, I tried to use the triangle kick combo, but it's slow and I fucked it up. So here got a little short wall bound, and then I'm gonna go back to doing like my back combos. Alright, so Kuze is gonna decide to play pretty nice here. I think it's after this one. Yeah, after I drop that one right there, he's gonna actually be really nice and just let me do whatever I want. Like, okay, one more parry there, and then I think I get it after that one. I messed up that parry, of course, because I suck, but... Okay, parry, and then back combo city. So this is going to be the combo that kills him. Almost. Because I do stun him there and go for some little extra fancy stuff to shake things up, because once again this is the normal version, which means that I can't really do crazy back combos and knockdown combos and all that crazy stuff. That's one thing, is that upon replaying Yakuza 0, I feel like the skill ceiling is a little lower than I would like it to be. Whereas, like, you can do a lot in, like, other games you can't really hear. And I tried to go for the heat action there, but it killed him. But yeah, as I said, this fight pissed me off so bad that I turned off the health mod, because I just did not want to deal with it, because it took me like 3 hours and I still hadn't gotten it, because I just kept getting clipped by enemy bullshit, which you'll probably see in the fails video that I'm going to be making for this. But yeah, the idea in the beginning there is that I'm going to go and Tiger Drop Kuze, because he'll always do an attack like immediately after it starts, and it's usually one that's really easy to Tiger Drop, and that'll like knock down some of the crowd and get him down, most importantly, and then I can go for Essence of Terror, and since he's down on the ground, that means it won't hit him, and it'll only hit the basic enemies, which is what I want. And luckily, the enemies decide to be really passive after that, which just let me just run up and kill all of them. And one thing about Kuze 3 that's really great is that it has this really good pseudo corner right here. But the thing is, it takes me a really long time to actually get him in there. And I didn't want to redo the fight because I was already pissed off with it enough. Yeah, so I do finally get him in it right now, but I think this is right before I get to the actual QTE, so I can't really do all too much. Because, you know, get a little bit of damage here, and then he gets out. Yeah, a lot of no-damagers actually like to skip this QTE because, like, just like in Kuze 1, it doesn't do any damage to you if you fail it, so they just like to have the extra health. But once again, just like in Kuze 1, I don't, because I just feel like it. For some reason that didn't stun. I was wanting that to stun. I have no reason why it didn't, because it normally does. Probably saw that in Kuze 1, I did that a lot. But I really don't know why I did it here, and that actually fucked it up a lot, because that was how I was going to get him back into the corner. And I do actually get him back into it now, but at this point, he's got less than a health bar, so I can't really do all that much, but I do get a little bit of a combo here. It's not super special or anything, but it's there. Alright, so now we got the Coliseum bosses, and Yakuza 0's Coliseum bosses are pretty fucking lame, but they are bosses, so I do have to do them. And Ginger Chapman here is just, you know, Pennywise wannabe with a knife. So I'm trying to go for like some wall-bound shit here, but the thing about like the Coliseum is that it has walls, but they're really weird walls. Like, you might not expect them to be walls in the first place because they're like rails, kind of like Sarah's Arena, which is going to be here in a little bit. But they do count as actual walls that you can bound off of. But the Coliseum is a circle, which means that you can't like get them straight off of it a lot of the time. Sometimes they'll just bounce off at a weird angle, or they'll like slide around the circle. I don't know. The only heat action I can really get off of a grab there for some reason is the grab release one like you just saw. Otherwise, Ginger Chapman doesn't really want me to do a lot of them to him. I've mostly just been using Thug for this because it just works for the Coliseum bounding. But, you know, these are basic, stupid bosses anyway that don't really serve much of a purpose other than to be there for you to fight. You're going to see here just a little bit, and I'm going to try and end it off with the Bat Charge attack that nobody really uses. And I missed the first time, but I do land it the second time.
You must die.
Alright, you can see by the fact that my health bar isn't full here that I did this one on my first try. That combined with the fact that at this point I'm still learning how to use exactions. This fight is pretty sloppy, but it is a no damage, so we'll do it. You will see a noticeable spike in my skill at exactions here in just a second, and there will be a reason for that. So this fight's going to be quite a bit faster than the vanilla version because, you know, your damage output is so crazy with exactions. Like, you can see that charge attack there did just a ton because it's just crazy like that. I don't know why he's super armored through that there. I do like to use the Skydance square attack to start juggles a lot because it just works. Like, the first hit will knock him down, and then the second hit will get him in the juggle. You'll see here that, like, the Coliseum walls can kind of hurt your juggles because they'll, like, splat off of them. And that's true even though it is a circle. And I have no idea what I'm doing for the finisher here. I'd completely mess it up. Okay, so Dr. Kirihito, he copies Katsuya's moveset from Yakuza 5. I don't know why, it doesn't really make sense, but he does. Like, he's got those huge-ass claws, but Katsuya uses a lot of kick attacks. He barely punches. That's a knee. He does a drop kick a lot, and then he'll do, like, a little kick combo sometimes. I don't know. Since we got some time, so next is Kiwami 1. I am really not looking forward to Kiwami 1 because I have to learn Godspeed combos. And, I mean, technically I don't have to, but I do if I want the no damages to be as good as possible. And I don't want my no damages to just be, hey, here's me playing the game. I want them to be actually somewhat skillful and good. I mean, there's definitely people better than me at it, but I want them to be, you know, kind of good at least. I mean, that's not the worst thing about it. I mean, Kiwami 1's bosses are super lame. Like, there's way too many group fights, and not enough just, like, actual cool, memorable bosses that are fun to fight. I mean, after that is, like, Yakuza 3. I'm really looking forward to Yakuza 3, because if you didn't know, I am Yakuza 3's strongest soldier. Yakuza 4 too, I'm looking forward to no damaging, because that game is fun to play, even though it has some issues. It has a lot of issues. It has some of the worst bosses in the series, but it also has some really good ones. And it's just Yakuza 3 gameplay again, so that's good. Yakuza 5, I'm not really looking forward to, because the combat in that game is kind of boring. Except for, like, Saejima. Saejima is pretty cool, but the other ones are kind of just boring. Judgment should be pretty cool, but I do need to learn that one a lot more. 7's gonna be interesting. You'll see what I'm doing with that one when I get there. Lost Judgment and Kaito Files should be cool, but I have to learn the crazy shit, and Gaiden will be fun. Okay, you can see here that this is where I'm like sorta kinda learning how to use exactions, but it's really gonna be in the next fight where I get good at it. But like, I'm starting juggles consistently here, which is a good step in the right direction. And it's a lot more of the same though. I mean, I'll have more to say for this next fight coming up. So the topic that comes up in every single one of these no damage videos is the music. And I usually get the music for final bosses way in advance. Like, I already know what songs I'm using for like 3, 5, Judgment, Kaito Files, and Gaiden. I also knew what to use here for 0 for a while now. I'm not going to spoil what it is, but you could also just go to the description and see what it is if you want. For the rest of the bosses though, it can be a huge pain in the ass. And some of the songs come to me super quickly, and some take like a really long amount of searching, like a really long time to search for. And sometimes it's like some pretty out there stuff. I mean, for Dr. Kirihito, I have the episode selection from Trauma Center Second Opinion. Because, you know, that game's about doctors, and he's a doctor. And, you know, it's nice and chill. Change of pace from, like, all the heavy stuff. Okay, so Dead Puncher is by far the worst of the Coliseum bosses. He's got like a weird beefed up Tamashiro moveset, which is super annoying to fight, especially as Majima. I don't really have much else to say with it though. I lied when I said I did. Because like once he hits heat mode, I just spam the breaker command grab and the mag dog counter. And like as I said, like replaying 0, a lot of its flaws are coming more apparent, and one of that is like its bosses. Like I've already mentioned how like Kiryu, his 5 out of 7 real bosses are Kuze, and Majima has like a lot more interesting bosses, but most of them he's just not equipped to fight, at least for no damage. Like if you want to, you can just like spam breaker and kill everything. Or spam slugger and kill everything. And like his final boss is the worst of it. He's one of the most brutal bosses in the series up to this point, and Majima just doesn't have the tool set to deal with him. I mean, you'll see what I gotta do later in the video, and I'm not gonna spoil it. But I'd really skip this one if you want. I'm just gonna let it play. Modded Dead Puncher is one of the most dreadful no damages I've ever had to do. My game crashed like 20 times on this fight, and I found out that it's most likely because I was starting the fight with the Mad Dog style, which breaks exactions for some reason, but it was still so painful. I had like a 50% chance of crashing the game every time I paused, or when I did a heat action, or even when I got to the QTE, it crashed a couple times, and it caused me to take like 4 or 5 hours total with this fight, and I don't even think that the final boss took me that long. On the bright side of things, this gave me a lot of practice with exactions in the meantime, which I think is very noticeable in this fight, that I'm going kind of crazy, kind of stupid. I'm actually able to keep enemies in juggles for longer, and they're more varied, which is good. And you'll notice that the fights from here on out will be a lot better. And luckily, exactions also makes this fight a lot shorter, even though it has a QTE towards the end. I'm also using all of me because I felt like it. I think this one, I kind of just thought about it, like, yeah, that one would work on Dead Puncher. I don't know, maybe I should have put a song to express my anger at this fucking awful fight. So my finisher here is just gonna barely not kill, and I'm very sad. I tried, but I don't know, Tiger Drop. So I like this Nishitani fight way more than the first one, because like, yeah, the arena looks way less cool, but like the walls make it a lot more fun to actually fight him, because you can actually do wall bounding stuff. I kind of struggle to get one going here at the beginning, because I can't land a square, 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 triangle, which is one of Majima's best moves, because it sets up for a lot of stuff. And you'll see me go for it a lot, because it does set up for, like, everything. And sometimes it just doesn't get blocked. So by this point, I probably started raising my attack with Majima, because he just doesn't do that much damage outside of Breaker Cheese. I get that kind of weird looking wall bound with the square, square, triangle as a breaker. I don't know how that happened, but it's pretty cool. And I think that Nishitani is going to be going into heat mode soon, which is going to be right after the QTE, which is right here. It's the same exact QTE as in the first fight, which makes less sense because the ceiling's not as high, but oh well, we'll live. Does a good bit of damage too, which is nice. But yeah, he's going to be going into heat mode after this QTE, which means that I got to start switching to back combos. And like I said in the Lee fight, back combos are pretty hard to set up with a Majima, but they're really good if you can land them. And I tried for quite a while to get one. I mean, just look at how much that did. It's so strong. Yeah, I tried for quite a while to get one, and I eventually do, but it's in kind of a weird spot where it keeps shifting along the wall, so it doesn't really last. But it's going to take a second for me to get there, so... You can really see here how much, like, the inconsistency of back combos hurts, because it's what I need to do here as Majima, because otherwise I'm not going to get a lot of damage unless I decide to do breaker cheese or whatever. But, like, it sucks because now I just have to, like, double tap him until it decides to work. And here's what I was talking about when I said that he's kind of sliding along the wall, so I can't really do it. But I do get a better one after this. But yeah, it's just like, it sucks because you gotta spend way too much time just like double tapping him to get him to finally decide to stay still, so you can just beat his ass, or beat his back, I should say. But I don't know, it hurts a lot, and I don't know why it was that way, because it worked in past games. It was fine in 3, 4, and 5, and then they just decided to break it here. So modded Nishitani 2 is pretty tricky because his arena is a lot like Lee 1, and I talked about it back in Nishitani 1, but it isn't really a bad thing, but it just means I have to do like a lot of like short combos instead of like long combos, because, you know, walls hurt for exactions, but they're better for regular no damages. But I still think that this is a pretty good one overall. And, you know, the wall bounces actually let me vary up some of the moves that I use that otherwise, like, would just whiff if it was against a juggled enemy. But versus a wall-bounded enemy, they'll hit just fine. But sometimes like that, they won't work, and I'll just end up dropping a combo. Like, look at that, I can hit the crane-style double-kick triangle thing, which will normally just completely miss. But because he wall-mounted, it can actually hit his feet and continue it. So this is another Pizza Tower song. It is Thousand March, the metal cover by Rashad E.B., who is another really good YouTube metal cover artist that you should check out, because he is awesome and makes really good music. Yeah. Now that Nishitani's in heat mode, it does kind of limit my juggle starting options though, because it's either thug countered or snake parry, which isn't a terrible thing. I didn't mention that back in Lee 2. It's a lot better for this fight because it's literally just a box. So snake parry works a lot better, but it's still not great. I like having the freedom of not heat mode where you kind of just hit and then get a juggle going for free.
1, 2, oh yeah, Mr. Krabs.
So now that Nishitani's about to be at his final health bar here, he's gonna get to the QTE, and this QTE is modded, so what it does, it does a fuck ton of damage, which all exactions QTE does, but it like almost kills him. It does like a whole S health bar. Except I actually stalled the QTE activation for this one, which means that it does end up killing him, so I just don't have to deal with his whole last health bar.
I'm a firing my leg on!
お前の覚悟を見せてもらおう。
Okay, Seta's a pretty interesting fight, because he has a defense-oriented fighting style, but this unfortunately also makes his attacks, like, pretty predictable, and, I don't know. One thing I never understood is why Seta doesn't have his own theme. Like, this guy is super important. Like, not only is he the leader of this, like, super organization here in Zero, but he goes on to be the third chairman of the Tojo. And like, this is like the guy. This is the man. This dude plays a huge role in Yakuza 1, but for some reason he still has this shit-ass basic boss theme. I mean, like, of course this isn't gonna apply to the modded version, but goddamn did they miss a huge opportunity here. Yeah, as I said, like, his attacks are super predictable, so it's very easy to kind of just dodge around him and do whatever I feel like doing against him. I mean, now we hit the QTE, which means he's going to go into heat mode, which means back combos again. And even though the rails, like I said earlier, on the side of the arena look like the ones in the Coliseum, they are not walls, which means no wall bounding, which means I do have to rely on back combos. Even though, once again, they are super inconsistent and just don't work half the time. I do get a little one here, which is nice, but it does end up dropping because I'm at the wrong angle. And I really don't get any good back combos in this attempt. And the only good ones I get were in, like, my failed attempts. I do get a couple short ones like that one you saw just a second ago, but really just no good ones. Like, here's another short one, but Seta's at the wrong angle, which means it's gonna drop pretty easily. Like that. There we go. So right here, I'm almost going to fail my attempt to set a little sweep kick thing that barely just doesn't hit me. You'll see here in just a second. That thing, I don't know how it didn't hit me, but right here I'm like, how do I end up finishing this? So I'm just gonna switch to breaker and do the breaker counter to finish it off, which I ended up having to do a lot because for some reason I suck at heat action finishers. I hope you enjoyed that heat action, because this is the only time you're going to see it. Now, in this fight, I actually remembered that I can use Thug and Breaker, which lets me vary up some of my combos a little bit. And though this was actually... These attempts were actually using an outdated version of exactions, where you couldn't actually switch to Thug or Breaker after finishers, and only during light attacks. I realized this, which... Let me go and download the more recent version, but I think it was after this fight. Now you're gonna see, like that, the snake grab attack is just as good as it is in Lost Judgment, because it's pretty good in Lost Judgment. Like, I think in Lost Judgment, like, you'll hit a boss with it once, and they'll, like, break out, but then you can just do it again, and they'll just take it. And here in Exactions, you can actually infinite with the snake grab, and you'll see me do, like, a short loop of it here in just a second, right here, after this heat action. I don't infinite it, though, because that would be super cheesy. And there I actually do get a conversion off of it, because that snake running attack is actually like a really good juggle starter, because it gets the enemy into just a knockdown animation, like in Legend Remix for some reason, and it just lets me hit him, and that'll immediately get him in the juggle. So now that it's set as in heat mode, I can't really do all that much other than thug counter, and I don't know. But he doesn't really have too much health though. I also use extreme heat here, but it's a lot harder to use than it is in Lost Judgment, which is why I don't really use it, but it does exist. So I have my attack jacked up way high here because this fight is doo-doo poo-poo water. So it's going to start the same way that Yakuza 3 does, where I go and pick up the big-ass motorcycle and kill everyone with it. For some reason, one of the bosses here does that thing that Oda and Okabe do, where they can take hits done from the first hit of a combo, but not any subsequent hits. And luckily, that's the one that I kill first, so I don't have to deal with it here. But now it's just that guy, me, and Nishiki, so I'm just gonna team combo the hell out of this dude with Nishiki. You know, this fight doesn't actually have like a set song in it, it just uses whatever style theme you have, depending on what style you're using at that current moment. So I just decided to use Receive You Tech Trance Arrange because it's pretty cool. Now, unfortunately, Bad comes in with the fucking T-Mod loader and destroys my finisher, but we'll live. Yes, Kiryu is not in his troll face form. This is for lore reasons that I will be explaining later. Now, I tried to have this version of the fight be less cheesy, but it ultimately ended up being just as cheesy. Now, I go over here, you know, just get some attack upgrades, and I go and grab the bike again, and I get lucky enough again to get the bike and just go to town with it. I do have the amulet equipped that makes enemies more passive, but I don't know if it actually does anything for bosses. I just kind of have it because I don't want to deal with the crowd. Alright, so this fight was RNG hell. It probably took me like 6 hours total to beat for a multitude of reasons. So there are fewer enemies than there were in Yakuza 3, but they're all much beefier and harder to get rid of. I mean, I also had the health mod on, granted, which makes it harder, but, you know, it's just still bad for other reasons. Nishki's a huge nuisance. I mean, he's fine in the beginning because he serves as a distraction for the enemies while you just pick off one of them at a time. But once it's just Kuze, he just gets in the way and stops you from doing any cool combos. Now, I was lucky to get some good enemy placement in this attempt so that they all got hit by that cart thing just a second ago. But it still didn't help. Because even if I did get, like, good attempts that got past all the basic enemies, sometimes Kuze just clips me and I die and explode and shit. So now that it's just Kuze, I'm going to start playing incredibly passively. And I'm mostly just gonna let Nishiki do his thing because he fucks up everything. So if he wants to fight Kuze so bad, then I'm gonna let him. And it takes me a really long time before I can even get a parry where Kuze decides not to turn around. And even when I do, Nishiki just runs up and knocks Kuze down, which stops my combo. And just rinse and repeat this for a super long time, and that's basically the entire fight. Now, you've probably seen it a few times at this point, but when Nishiki does manage to wallbound Kuze, I do try to take the opportunity, although most of the time I can only get in one hit, or sometimes just none at all if I'm too far away. It's also usually not a good idea to hit Kuze when he's grabbed by Nishiki, because when he breaks out, like, he breaks out immediately, and that animation also gives him super armor, so if you try to attack him during it, there's a good chance you'll still be in, you know, the animation lag and you'll get hit. I mean, if there's... I do end up picking up that mannequin over there in the corner in a little bit, which is to set up for something. It's to set up for the finisher, which is pretty cool. It is unique for this fight. But that's really the only plus, because, I don't know, this fight just... I like Kuze 4, but this one to no damage is just not fun. I know that there's actually a mod that lets you not have Nishiki do anything. I don't have it on for the modded version of this, and of course not for this one either. But in the modded version, it's less of an issue. But still, it's just, I don't know. I don't have fun with it. But yeah, this is what I'm talking about when I go pick up the mannequin, just to set up for the finisher. Alright, so now it's time for the finisher. And I said, this is the one good thing about it, because I am able to do this heat action, which is super hard to do for no damage because it requires you to get hit. But if you have a weapon on 1 durability and it breaks, you can actually do it without taking any damage, which is pretty neat. So Kuze has even more health this time around, but this modded version is not nearly the same just terrible thing that the unmodded version was. So this first phase is just going to be heat management the game, because heat actions are so good at picking off these individual enemies, and that's basically just what you want to do for the whole first part here with the goons. Now, here in a second, I'm actually going to get grabbed, which is a really bad thing. But luckily, Nishiki is going to do his job for once and actually distract the enemies while I can break out. And thankfully, unlike future games, you don't take damage from being grabbed. You take damage from being thrown, of course, but not grabbed. But yeah, you'll see that, like, as I said, heat actions are kind of like the only viable way to deal with these enemies because their health is so high. But yeah, this is what I'm talking about, where I got grabbed, but Nishiki keeps Kuze distracted. And then I kind of just wallbound this guy to death. Almost. I do have to stomp him at the end, but oh well. But yeah, heat actions are like the only thing that does reasonable damage. And there's no way for me to just boost the boss's health while having the enemies keep their regular health. I wish there was a way to do that, because the regular enemies could be really fucking annoying, but it's kind of just a trade-off of having the increased health. So now that it's just Kuze, there's really no corners in this fight that you can do like your corner combos in. There is this way to get him up against the wall where the mirror is, but he's really likely to fall out. It's really the only option though, so I will try to get him in it. Nanishi's actually going to be a little better in this version. He really doesn't hurt your combos and actually helps with wallbound sometimes. And you may notice, but he also has his boss moveset from this game, plus like 1 or 2 moves from his Kiwami moveset, which makes him a lot more potent than like his vanilla moveset, which is nice. So I actually when I was, putting the music over these fights, I accidentally put the song that I wanted to use for Yakuza 5 over here, and the thing was, it worked really well. So I kind of felt sad having to remove it and put it on Yakuza 5, but I mean, this is Treachery from Gaiden, and I think it works just as well. I like it, but I don't think Treachery would have worked as well for Yakuza 5, so there's no way I could have just swapped them. And plus, I picked that song for Yakuza 5 for a reason, and you'll see it when we get to Yakuza 5 here in a little bit. So using this very specific setup, I'm actually able to get the Brawler Kiwami finisher. I haven't been able to before because it requires you to pummel an enemy 3 times. But you're usually able to grab an enemy during a wall bound and get it, but sometimes they'll just break out, and you can't always do it if there's like a crowd that'll hit you while you're grabbing the boss. I don't know, it's kind of weird, which is why it's the one I use the least. Like, the other ones are pretty easy to get, because like the beast one, you just have to pick up an enemy off the ground, like facing towards you. For the rush one, you just have to land like that running attack. But the thing is, like, you can also get that running attack if you just press triangle after a parry. So you can just parry the enemy, press triangle, and boom, you get it. And then of course, like the legend style one, that one's just if you have the enemy stunned, which you can do if you land a parry or pick them up. So those 3 are really easy. The Brawler one's kind of weird to get. I do actually end up reusing some heat actions here accidentally, but it's fine. I was just having a little too much fun here, so I wasn't paying attention. And, just fucking up Kuzi Wanishiki was nice. And plus, I do have to end it with the team heat action. Okay, so this fight is all spectacle. Like, wow, it's so cool, you're fighting Kashiwagi, that's the guy from the other games in this series. But the fight itself sucks. I just feel like whenever they port Joji's moveset into a more modern game, it always sucks. Like, there's that one time they did it in Kiwami, and it was awful. And it was awful here, so they just need to stop doing it. Like, whenever he goes into heat mode, he also gains knockdown immunity, so it becomes basically impossible to do anything. So I hope you don't mind me just completely cheesing him here, because I don't want him to enter heat mode at all costs. And Kashiwagi is also another example of, like, why didn't they give this super important character a unique theme? They just give them fucking Misery Comes on Beat again, and that theme is shit. Why? That shouldn't be on any bosses. Like, especially not Kashiwagi. So, like, I'm sorry, the modded version's better.
Es un día hermoso allá afuera. Las aves cantan, las flores florecen. Empieza así, niños como tú deberían arder en el infierno.
So I had a lot of crashing issues with Kashiwagi, although not as bad as Dead Puncher. This is actually where I figured out that it was Mad Dog style that was the problem, so after I figured that out, I didn't have the issues anymore. Now, the problem with these actions is that all the bosses begin to blend together, because most of the time it devolves into start juggle, do juggle, repeat until they die. And this is especially true for a fight like Kashiwagi, where the walls don't interfere most of the time due to the arena's size, though the walls do actually help a few times, like when I land the crane sweep kick later, which will normally miss due to hitting so low to the ground, but I'm able to actually do it here. And while Mad Dog does run the risk of crashing your game, if you start the fight with it, you should be fine as long as you use a different style first. You'll probably want to use it too because its leapfrog attacks are really good. Like the triangle one will just completely free set up for a juggle, as long as they're not in heat mode and have knockdown immunity. And the circle one, it can like infinite, and it's cool looking, so you should use it.
No importa cuánto intentes, tú no dejas de atacar. El caso está intentando, trata de golpearme si es que puedes. La clemencia es una opción que ya no tienes. ¿Crees que soy ingenuo porque me preguntas? A mi hermano lo mataste, no me jodas. A mis amigos tú les dices fin. Ellos son el porqué, yo sigo aquí. Soy tu piedad, soy sin venganza, soy determinación. Estás hecho de amor, pero soy más fuerte que tú.
So as you can see, Kashiwagi is actually pretty manageable in heat mode because you can still parry him against the wall or do thug counters and all that. Though some of his moves can be kind of finicky to actually land the thug counter on. Now, you'll see here in a little bit, but the finisher for this fight is super weird because I'm gonna actually try and use extreme heat for once, and you'll see what happens when I get there. But right now, it's just, you know, getting thug counters and parries to try and do juggles. And oh yeah, these actions brings back that, because I'm pretty sure that's not in the base game, is that little QTE heat action thing that bosses do from like Yakuza 3. I guess it makes sense because Joji does that, and this is supposed to be like Joji fight in Yakuza 0, even though I've already said that Joji sucks outside of Yakuza 3, like his moveset. I got a lot to say about Joji when we get to Yakuza 3. But yeah, you'll see here that I'm going to go into extreme heat, and I'm going to hit the mortal reversal. And what I'm trying to do is hit a heat action after that, but for some reason the prompt doesn't show up, and I land Kashiwagi with the back hit of the EX combo, which gets him into the crane extreme heat action somehow, and I don't know how it worked, but it worked, so I'm just gonna roll with it. Okay, so Nishiki is like a huge improvement on Kashiwagi, but he's too easy. I mean, I'd still, any day of the week, take an easy boss over a boring boss, but I don't know, I feel like he could have been a little bit stronger. I mean, I know he's supposed to be portrayed as weak before the events of Kiwami, he's just a complete joke. Like, he does have super armor on some of his attacks, but they're so telegraphed that they don't really matter. And as you can see, I just completely take away like half his health here, and I just beat his ass. So Nishiki uses a lot of counters, but once again, they're so slow that they don't really do anything. If anything, the super armor just makes the fight drag on for longer than it needs to. And it's already one of the shortest in the game. And it also makes it like really hard to do back combos on him. So I try to go for back combos, then he kind of just armors through them or goes for the counter. Like you can see there, I definitely got him in a back combo, but it just decided to not work, so it's heat action time, I suppose. I do like that they actually gave Nishiki a unique theme here, and I don't know why they didn't make him have his... I don't know why they didn't make him use his boss moveset when you have him as an ally with Kiryu. Because, like, this moveset's a lot more interesting than whatever the other moveset is. This fight's got some neat QTEs, though, even though you can't really do one of them if you're doing no damage. Because that requires you to get hit, I'm pretty sure. I don't know, I never got it here. So I'm guessing you just need to get hit for it. I know that you need to get grabbed for the other one for it to activate, unless you like get him really low, which is when he does it. So Exactions makes this already easy fight a lot easier, because it's way easier to break through his armor than it is in vanilla. So it's just... if the vanilla version was a joke, this is a whole fucking stand-up routine. Hey, cause like he still has super low health compared to the other bosses, so it's not like it takes any longer either, even with, you know, like the health mod and everything. Oh, and oh yeah, Nishiki's Luigi and Reina's Peach. Think of it like Ichiban's schizophrenia. It's all on his head. Don't worry about it. Majima hasn't taken his pills. So juggles can be a little hard here because the room is super cramped and there's walls everywhere, but it doesn't really affect the difficulty that much. Just think of it like Nishitani 2. And this song is Morshu Wave by Mimicus, which uses the fucking Morshu beatbox meme, which is not Morshu at all. It's actually a Verbal Ace song or whatever, and then they just took the beatboxing and put it over Morshu. But this guy decided to make a synthwave song out of it, and it's really fucking cool. I like it. I wish he was back, because he hasn't uploaded in like a year or something. And also the song is like the same exact length of this fight, so you just that's how I knew it was meant to be. And like I was saying in the vanilla version, that QTE can actually be activated if you get grabbed by Nishiki. But if you don't get grabbed, then you just have to wait till way later in the fight, then it just activates automatically. This fight sucks balls, so I'm gonna cheese it super hard. I've really tried to be sparing with how much I use the breaker square 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 triangle because it's infamous for being like stupidly OP. But sometimes I just give up and I don't feel like dealing with it, so I just use it and it feels like cheating, but sometimes cheating feels good. Don't take that the wrong way, I mean like in games, not on women. Even with breaker cheese, this fight still took me like 2 hours to no damage. The enemies crowd super hard around you, especially since they all get enraged because of you cheating, I guess. I'm not sure why this fight uses the basic long battle theme though, Tusk, because this is not a long battle. I guess there's like a mini long battle before it. I say that it's like one fight, And then you have this one. I still don't know why it's the long battle theme, but oh well. Modded version is going to be a little better, but I still spam breaker in that one, so have fun. Alright, so this song is Blip Blip by Bunny Maser, however the fuck you're supposed to pronounce it. Apparently it was used in the Geometry Dash level, but I know it from playing Space's Key growing up. If you know, you know. So I did turn off the double health mod just for this because I didn't want to give myself another aneurysm after the unmodded version, which was hell. The Breaker Cheese works pretty weird in exactions because you can still do it, but of course it sends enemies into juggles, which pushes them away over time instead of staying on the ground in one spot to get hit by everything. So it kind of works, just less well. So that mini-boss guy, he still really sucks in this one, but for some reason, now he's using the Hangman's moveset from Yakuza 6, and he still retains the armor. There's ways to get around it, but it's still not super fun. So I am able to get like sorta kinda juggles on him, but not really. But Tiger Drop. And Tiger Drop again because it looks cool. So here's one of my favorite fights in the whole series. It's not my absolute favorite because we'll get that when we get to Yakuza 3, but I also really love Oath of Enma. It's one of my favorite songs in the whole franchise. Once again, not my favorite. We'll get to that when we get to Yakuza 3. Now, unfortunately, Kuze is really easy if you know what you're doing. He has knockdown immunity, which is a good thing for once because it allows for more varied back combos, since I can now do finishers. Only certain ones though, because some of them, like basically all the Legend and the Legend and Beast finishers are too slow, and this is fixed in Legend Remix though, where they're sped up a lot, so you can actually use them. But yeah, this one combo is just gonna take away so much of his health, and like, I'm not done. And if you think I'm destroying him here, just wait until we get to the modded version. It's crazy. Like, I still can't believe how hard they cooked with this fight. It's just, it hit. It hit. It still hits. It's crazy good. I love this fight so much. I wish they did more of this in, you know, the games. I mean, they kind of did that, like, persistent rival kind of thing with Yamai in Infinite Wealth. Because you fight Yamai like 6 times. And it's great. I love Yamai. Yamai is an amazing character. I kind of wish his final fight was a little better though, but, you know, we'll live. We'll live. I still love him. He's a great character with a great art, and I want to see more of him in Yakuza 9. But yeah, as I said, his final fight leaves a little bit to be desired, and I still think that it's not... they didn't go as all out as they could, like they did here with Kuze 5. Yeah, Dibs' ass comes in and ruins my finisher with Cookie Clicker. God damn it, Dibs. I'm gonna be completely honest. I just want to let this one speak for itself. I'll see you in the Awano fight.
ってんじゃねえぞ。本気で来いよ。どうした君は。すげえ。
Alright, so I need to be pretty chill for the rest of this video, and if you don't like that, you can blame my stepfather. If I wasn't chill for the rest of this video, it wouldn't be out until like April, and I've already delayed it long enough because I haven't been able to record like I wanted to. So here's Awano. I like Awano. It's a pretty cool fight, and like the next one, which I have some thoughts on. That being said, I really don't give him a chance here during Phase 1. And that's really because once he enters heat mode, I can't do too much to him, because Majima just can't. Now granted, that's a problem later in the fight when he gets closer to entering the QTE and entering heat mode. For right now, I'm just killing him just to kill him because it's fun and because I'm a sociopath and I need help. But other than that, like, he just can't get up. And eventually I'm gonna get him into the little space with all the furniture in it and hit the breaker square 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 triangle to just melt his health bar, which you'll see here in just a moment. And unfortunately, he did somehow get up during that, which means that he's going to enter heat mode with more health than I wanted him to, but will live. He's basically immune to back combos in heat mode, unfortunately, so at this point I just gotta stun lock him until he dies with various methods, mostly with the breaker command grab, but I tried to vary it up a little bit, but will live. But even with, like, the increased health mod, like, he just does not have a lot of health compared to the other ones, because he had, like, 5.5 maybe, and, like, this fight's been, like, 2 minutes, maybe, and he's already down to his last one, and he's about to die. Though I do think I have my attack cranked up a little bit, not as much as I do for the next fight. I'm preemptively apologizing about that fight. I'm very sorry, but you'll see what I mean when we get there in like 20 seconds. I take back what I said. I forgot we had the modded Awano fight. So, this song here, Receive and Believe You, which, mild Infinite Wealth spoiler, sorry, but you'll live. This song was kind of a last-minute pick, because I didn't really know what to do for Awano, but I ended up deciding to show Infinite Wealth a little bit of love by using it here. Yeah, it's kind of spoilers, because it plays for the final long battle, but, I like it. It's really good. I didn't actually like it at first, but it grew on me as I kept hearing it. But it isn't necessarily what I'd expect for, what might be the last Receive You remix. I was kind of expecting more of a return to roots for the music, kind of like a grunge-esque remix of Receive You, that maybe acts like a modernized version of the original. But even then, that kind of already exists with Receive You Reborn. But either way, I wasn't really expecting EDM of all things, but I'm kind of fucking with it. Now, I have no idea what the mod creator makes this QT do so much damage. You're gonna see it's just gonna kill him, basically. Like, boom, boom, into the wall. And, like, almost that whole health bar gone. Now, I know, like, in past no damage videos, I've stated that I don't really like using, like, Yakuza songs for the modded versions because they're going to be on other bosses in the future. Like, the one exception I had was with Yuta in Yakuza 6, where I used So Unusual, which is from Kuruhyo 1. I don't know if I'm going to do Kuruhyo 1, which is why I decided, So Unusual is going to be fine. But I don't really like to use boss themes, because they're going to be on bosses in the future. But, long battle themes are fair game in any other song that is not on a boss. But, I do kind of fuck up the finisher here because, once again, heat action does not kill, so I kind of just ad-lib something that isn't super cool, but kills him. It has been about 2 years since I've played Yakuza 0 for the first time. It would have been around this time, in March of 2022, when I first played the game and beat it. And in all of that time, 2 full rotations around the sun, I have never come around to liking Lao Gui. I've just never gotten it. Like, story-wise, in the narrative, I like him. He's like the narrative stand-in for Dojima and his power and influence. He's never gonna fight you, so he has to use this assassin, which is like the physical manifestation of it. And I like that. That's like symbolism or something. But unfortunately, the fight itself is just brutal and not in the fun way, especially in a no damage. And because, like, Majima's just, as I said, not equipped to deal with him. Lao Gui is one of the most brutal final bosses in the series. Like, as I said, from, like, literally being an assassin that's gonna kill you, but also just from, like, a gameplay standpoint. He has a lot that Majima just can't deal with. So, sorry, but I just cranked up my attack and breaker cheese him. It's really his second phase that I'm looking out for, because that's the one where he's really just impossible. Because, like, he's got armor, so you can't combo him. His attacks aren't parryable with Thug. And he's, like, I don't know what to do. Because, like, even then he's got guns, so he just shoots you and you die. So, what I do is I just get him down to where he skips all the way past Phase 2 and goes straight into Phase 3. So yeah, I got him down all the way to one single health bar, and by the time these QTEs end, he will be down so low that he's just gonna die to anything. Because, like, you know, that first QTE doesn't actually do any damage to him, but this is the phase 2 to 3 transition QTE, where it doesn't really make sense why this one does damage to him. Like, he goes to gouge your eye out, and then you hit the QTE, and you kind of just throw him off you, and that does almost a whole health bar of damage. I have no idea how, but it's not going to take much to kill him at this point, so I go into the menu, lower my health, and heat action. So now that we're in the modded version, I can actually do some not cheesy stuff, even though there will be a small amount of cheese here in this fight. So for phase 1 here, I just gotta juggle Laogui as long as I can, because if you let up, he's going to enter heat mode and he is going to become much harder, like that. So now I have to just hit him against the wall with Snake Parry or do Thug Counter, but I do end up getting the parry, but I fuck it up, so I gotta do it again. But yeah, this no damage is going to be much cleaner than the last one, even though I do end up having to cheese phase 2 again, but in a slightly less not cool way. But yeah, and I have no idea how that snake rebounded, because he was already on the ground, but somehow it hit. So now starting in phase 2 and then going into the phase 3 QTEs, which are modded, I will have a lot of time, so you are going to hear me yap for quite a bit. But yeah, so strat for this is just leapfrog cheese with Snake, because it just infinites. So as for the song choice here, I played Ghost Runner recently, and it's a very good game, and I like the soundtrack of it. And I thought that one of the songs would fit on Laogui, because you know, it's like this cool synthwave beat, these like synthwave songs that you're playing while running around killing people as an assassin. It's really neat. But anytime I hear synthwave, though, it reminds me of when I went on vacation to Orange Beach in Alabama this past summer, and there was this chicken place called Fusakli's, which was kind of like an Alabama ripoff of Cane's. And I went there, and you can imagine my surprise when I went to a place with a fuck-ass name like that, which was full of rednecks, and they were playing synthwave. So this is like a whole feature-length film, this QT is, so I got more time. And so I decided here that I'm going to talk about a dream that I had like a week ago. And I have some pretty fucked up dreams now, but that one a week ago was like top 3 weirdest ones that I've ever had. So in the dream, I was randomly chosen alongside some other guys to win a free sex. Now, I ended up refusing my free sex, but this didn't really matter though, because at the same time there was this DDLC-esque murder plot going on, where one of the sex winners was transporting everyone in and out of a video game world, where he had admin powers to do anything he wanted, so he started killing all of the other winners. And I only got to see one of the murders though, where the murderer guy used his admin powers to rip the guy's tongue out of his mouth, and he left him to bleed out. and the only reason I wasn't killed was because I refused my free sex, but I still had to hide the fact that I was investigating, and it turns out the reason the guy was doing it was because he had all the women that he wanted for some crazy fetish shit, which involved tying them up and giving them hysterectomies. But I couldn't do anything about it because the dream ended there, and my alarm woke me up. So anyways, now that we're in Phase 3, it's pretty simple. Snake parries aren't really going to do much because the walls are really weird in this room, but thug counters are going to work just fine. But it was very important for me to get him to where he's going to do his mortal attack there, because otherwise he'll go into a QTE segment where he regains all his health, and he switches to using the Judgment Final Boss moveset, which is super hard to work around. And he still does here, but he's so low that I can just kill him. Alright, final boss time. So, I really liked Shibusawa's first phase here, but his second and third phases feel unnecessarily limited. And to be honest, he's a pretty forgettable final boss in comparison to some of the other ones in this series, but he's still pretty cool. So I'm going to start out here with this little wall-bound combo to basically just keep him down and shorten Phase 2 as much as I possibly can, because it's not fun to deal with, and it's not even fun to watch. But yeah, like, as you probably know, that like Shibusawa's whole thing is that he fights you with his own version of your styles. So like Phase 1 is his Rush style, Phase 2 is Beast, and Phase 3 is Legend, or like Dragon style. But Beast Shibusawa gains super armor, and he's got really slow attacks. This means that he really isn't all that hard, but also your approach is really limited, which is why I'm trying to get him down as much as I can here. So I'm just trying to stun lock him by picking him up, bounding throw, and then I'm gonna like pick him up again, hit him with like a strong move that sends him flying with a hitbox. But then I mess it up, and it does eventually go into Phase 2 here, where I don't end up getting the counter hook that I wanted, which I don't even know what that would have done anyway. Kind of just stupid on my part. So, in action, and then we go into Phase 2. Alright, so the strategy here for Phase 2 is to get my heat down with that heat action, and then because I will be at my first heat bar, well, I'm at my second heat bar, but get it down with a bounding throw to get to my first heat bar. Now I'm going to do 2 max power counter hooks, because the way it works is that since I have no heat, they're going to be stronger, because it's just how the system works. So now that I got a little bit of heat, I'm going to do 1 more heat action, and then that's going to get me back down into first heat, so I can do another max power counter hook. But unfortunately what that's going to do is it's barely going to get him past his 4th health bar, which means that it's going to transition into Phase 3, which is super long and tedious, but I'll live. When people talk about the best final boss themes in the series, I'm honestly shocked that Two Dragons doesn't get brought up more. Like, it's super unique sounding, and it has probably the most just raw energy out of any of the themes, especially in like the 3rd phase section here. And like, this shredding is diabolical. Like, listen to this. Like, you listen to that and tell me how this isn't one of the best final boss themes in the series. But unfortunately here, Legend Shibusawa kind of sucks, so I crank up my attack and just cheese him with Beast. So just have fun watching this for the rest of the fight. I really don't have anything more to say, but see you in the next one, and just a heads up, the beginning of the next fight will be a little tiny bit loud, so I suggest that you turn your volume down. I swear I'm going to turn Steam notifications off for the next one.
This song is copyrighted. Go watch the no commentary version.
Alright, so earlier when I was talking about how I usually know what song to put over the final boss in advance, this was also the case for Shibusawa here, but unfortunately for him, and like half of the other ones I have in mind, the songs are copyrighted, which isn't going to mean anything for the no commentary version, which exists so that you can see the bosses like how I intended without me losing monetization, but for the no commentary version, that means I have to talk continuously, which sucks because this boss is like 8 minutes long. So you can see here that I have Shibusawa in this pseudo corner. This is really lucky because this corner only works like half of the time. Here in my winning attempt, it decided to cooperate, which led to this being one of my best Legend Remix combos that I've ever done, even though I had to do it like 15 different times, which means I got a lot of practice, because this boss took me like 3 hours. So, I just gotta keep yapping for the end of this. Wait, what? How do I even extend this commentary for this long? I don't know. Let me talk about cheese. I really like cheese. Cheese is awesome. Have you ever had a really good grilled cheese? That shit's life-changing. Like, I once made a grilled cheese in, like, 10th grade when COVID hit, and I was, like, home all the time, and I was really hungry, so I made a grilled cheese with, like, some the provolone and like some other cheese that I don't remember, and I did it with like bacon fat, and it was awesome, and I wish I could have it again, but unfortunately that's not the world we live in, where we can magically summon grilled cheese out of thin air. Okay, so now we're switching over to Beast Shibusawa, which is a little better than it was in vanilla, because I can do short little wall-bound combos if I bounding throw him and kick him up, which you're going to see in the beginning here, after we get past this little QTE segment. Okay, so back to grilled cheese, because I don't know what to talk about before we get to the wall-bound combo itself. Sometimes I get grilled cheese, and it's really bad. Like, I had this math competition that I did a week ago, and they had grilled cheese, and it wasn't very good, and it reminded me of the grilled cheese that I made in 10th grade. Maybe I should write a fanfic about grilled cheese, but now that we're here in the wall-bound combo, I do actually fuck it up here in the beginning, because for some reason, my kick decides to not work. So I do a heat action, which makes it bad even more because I don't have heat, but luckily the taunt in the Legend style, I don't know if it's like that in vanilla, but here in Legend Remix, it's really quick, so I can get heat really quickly. So here I'm going to do the wall stick heat action, which is really cool. And then I'm going to knock him down with that, but for some reason, once I hit him, he has this retaliation attack, which lets me heat action it. For some reason, that retaliation attack is way better than the ones in Yakuza 6, which really sucked, and I hated them, and they made me want to do a bad thing that would probably get my channel deleted or demonetized or something. Okay, so at least this version of the game is going to let me Tiger Drop the rest of these phases, because you actually have Tiger Drop in Legend Remix, which doesn't take away all of your heat and actually hits unlike Iron Fist counter in vanilla Yakuza 0. It doesn't really change much though, because it's still just Tiger Drop City like in vanilla version, because Beast Shibusawa sucks. But I can parry him and hit heat action like that, which gets him a little bit down past the 4th health bar barrier into phase 3. Okay. For some reason, when you do Tiger Drop Shibusawa here in Beast Phase, he'll just stop attacking you, even though he can extend his combo further. It's like, ouchies, you hit me. I guess I'm going to reset my attacks now. So anyways, now we're going into Phase 3 Shibusawa, Legend Shibusawa. And back to the grilled cheese. So, speaking of grilled cheese fanfics, this doesn't have anything to do with grilled cheese, but it does have to do with dairy and fanfiction. I realized that I actually made a fanfiction about Solid Snake serving you a milkshake at a milkshake bar like 3 years ago. I think I did it because of a dare, but I didn't remember it until I accidentally saw it in an email like a couple weeks ago, because for some reason I emailed it to one of my friends. Probably one of the ones who dared me to make it in the first place. I don't know. But now that we're in Legend Phase, Shibusawa is still really super uncooperative, even with Legend Remix. There are corners that you can get him in, but they're super inconsistent. And I'm trying really hard to get him into one here, but you see, it's not going to work very well. I do have him in here, but he's not going to stay in here for very long. But I am able to get a pretty short one. But unfortunately, as you see there, my stun completely whiffs, and I want to do the thing that's going to get me demonetized. So I do try to get him into this other corner here by the railing, but he either falls out or he just starts sliding along the wall, and it doesn't really work. And I didn't really mention in the vanilla version of this fight, but there's this one unreactable grab that he'll do, which killed so many of my runs that got to phase 3. And I am going to try to get him into another combo there by the lamp post, which is right there. It was off screen a second ago, but here we go. And it does kind of, sort of work, but it just sends him into the QTE. But one problem that is present with the QTE and the health mod that boosts his health way up, since he's got like 13 health bars now, is that the QTE segment is going to last way too long, which means that I have to keep yapping for another minute while Kiryu just keeps Shibusawa against the railing, and it's gonna... I just gotta keep going because the song is gonna kill my video if I don't keep going. Well, Kiryu just takes his sweet old time. And I really don't have anything to say about this, so I guess I'll give some closing thoughts, and no more talking about grilled cheese unless I really don't have anything else to talk about. So I still consider Yakuza 0 to be one of the best games in the franchise, but its flaws have become a little more apparent to me upon replaying it. No Damaging It had some really high highs, but also some really low lows. Like, I really liked No Damaging Shibusawa, at least in his first phase. His other ones were pretty neat too to build strategies around, but I do wish they were a little more cohesive and not cheesy, like the grilled cheese that I was talking about. But some of the bosses, like, Okabe and the Dojima family fights, were just completely miserable to try and no damage. But I still love playing this game casually, and the amount of love that it gets from modders is the cherry on top. Because, it has awesome mods like Exactions and Legend Remix, and all the other ones that were present in this video, like the Troll Face and the Health mod, and all the other cool stuff, like the Diamond Sword. So, I'm just going to let this ending play once Kiryu just completely digs his fingers into Shibusawa and punches him. You have now reached the ending of the Yakuza 0 No Damages. That was really long. I hope Kiwami 1 is not going to be like that. Hopefully it won't be. Kiwami 1 might actually be postponed now that I think about it, because I might wait for Exactions Kiwami to come out, which is a thing that Mingun Kiss is working on. So, there might be Yakuza 3 next. I love Yakuza 3. I really want to play Yakuza 3. I really want to no damage Yakuza 3. Very excited about that one. But as for now, thank you a whole lot for watching, and I will see you next time.